I then started Googling. Like, I'm starting to get more and more convinced. Have you ever read theories on when you die, that there's more and more theories by scientists that say that your consciousness transfers into a parallel universe?
No.
There are more and more scientists that believe this, and that because it's, again, infinite possibilities and ideas, that if there's one particular choice, like if you decided today that you weren't going to come here, that happened, that multiverse happened, like infinite, meaning that, you literally, like, and then there's another choice where you crash into a pole on the way over here.
But when I die, then what?
So again, the theories that you read about is that there's a lot of theories that say, and I had questions about it too, and there's some woman on TickTock that had some full breakdown of this, and I should send this to you. But like, the answer to that is that you don't really, like, if you died, to us, you would not. But however, to you would wake up.
Would you cry?
Of course I would.
Brett, of course.
Yeah. But multiverse, you would wake up in a multiverse. You'd wake up and some people apparently say that
knowing
is
I died or no.
I mean, again, that's the question. Is who knows? And then I said, well, what happens if it's like you never really die? You just keep transferring consciousness. Yeah. Well, what when you're old? And that's a reincarnation. There's the theories that you actually would either restart at a different point. And it's fascinating overall. And it's like, there's obviously a lot of people who say no. Once you go, and that's it. And
what do you truly believe?
What I hope or what I believe?
Believe.
I don't know. Believe, I don't know. But I hope that the multiverse thing is true.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's just like a matter. But then again, not necessarily, because it doesn't mean you're going to wake up and, like, what if you wake up in a parallel universe where the Germans won?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I probably would not be here.
There's worse
right
scenarios.
You wouldn't be in that multiverse. And I started. I'm telling you, this is the problem when the movies like this start coming out more, because I've always been fascinated with it, and then I start going down rabbit holes again. And then somebody recommended on a channel, like, you should check out. I think it was Chris the Asperger guy who comes in and he comments on every video, and he was like, you should check out this YouTube channel that does like alternate things in history. And I was watching one where it was, what if the Germans would have won World War I, which was very interesting, because and stuff that I didn't realize is that, had they not invaded Belgium, they might have actually won that war. And then who knows what would have happened.
What did it say theoretically would have happened?
I only got about 8 minutes in. I got to finish it. Okay. But it was the Belgium part of it that I was fascinated by. But then I started cooking eggs for the family.
Do you guys remember Sliding Doors?
Yes. I just watched it recently. Because
my God. I fucking loved that.
It's really
movie.
good. Same thing.
I just remember that when you watch a movie and then you just start thinking about life differently for the rest of your life.
Yeah, it's a what if.
Every time that, like, I drop a pen and lean down to pick or anything, I always think, like, what if I hadn't dropped that? Should I not even lean down to pick it up? Maybe I'd be with the love of my life and be a huge celebrity. You can even get even dirtier and filthier with it. Okay.
Right? Imagine that the day before or the day of you conceived your first child, right? That 10 minutes beforehand, instead of banging your wife, you jerked off into a song. Your kid's not here.
Yeah, no more kid.
And he's like, it's like, well, you could have had sex that night. Yeah, but it wouldn't be the same kid. It'd be a different kid.
Totally.
And that's what the crazy shit is. It's like, I decided to beat one out. Or if you did beat one out, and because of it, the next day you had sex, and then that's how you got your kid.
That's crazy.
It's nuts. Nah. Like my wife and I always have this conversation. I was just like, if I had not been there that day, then we wouldn't be in this scenario right now. She's like, no, we would have still met somehow. And I'm like, fate is a definite thing as well. And I'm not saying that we wouldn't have met at a different circumstance, but our life would be significantly different as it is today. We wouldn't have the same children. And that's what, like, that movie, was it About Time?
Yeah, I was just going to say.
They do it really well, where
you just can't go back and mess up.
He makes
with
one
things.
choice and he comes back and he's still with her, but they have different kids.
Yeah.
And, like, that's the kind of stuff that I find fascinating. But
you guys want to know a weird fate thing?
Yes, please.
I don't know if it is fate.
Wait, what do you believe in?
You're in the dirt, man.
You think it's over?
Dirt,
you just think it's over.
The bugs eat you and you're fucking gone.
So you don't think your consciousness goes anywhere? You don't believe in any of this stuff?
The one thing that I think is bizarro is that your body loses like 1.5 pounds or something when you die, and not due to fluids or shit or anything like that. So that's what scientists believe is a soul. Yeah. Like when you're talking scientifically what your soul is, that's that. And so that is crazy to me, because I'm like, all right, what is that weight that you're losing?
Right.
What is it? And so I think that just kind of goes into the universe and now is energy. But I wish, because I'm so scared of dying. Like, oh my gosh, you should see me up at night when I start going down, spiraling,
that
and I'm
thing?
like,
Yeah.
oh my,
See,
did you, Brett?
that's the
I'll
pro-
spiral city.
Yeah, see, it's funny because a lot of people, death is a major fear for a lot of people. For a lot of people, it's
I
funny.
can't think about it too long, Christian.
But this is why I read all this stuff
though.
though too, man, because it's just like
Looking for something
because we've talked about the line jumping that I think about all the time. I'll explain that to you some other time. It's a long.
You saw my face.
It's just essentially like imagine like if you had the ability to like as I just mentioned to you, where if there's infinite possibilities, and you had the ability, let's say that right now you close your eyes for a second, right? And you can't really do this, Roxy, so you don't need to close your eyes. But if you closed your eyes and you put yourself back to, let's say, 2014, when you came in to the Schmoes that day, and you went in and or shit, even what do you think is the most what's a there's always a thing in your life that you go, had I done that differently, where would I be? What's that thing that you always think of?
When I talked myself into first class and sat next to Kevin Undergaro on an airplane.
Right. Okay. So perfect example for that. So let's say that for that particular, when you close your eyes, you go back to that, or something you could have said to, even something differently that you would have said to him, or something, and you put yourself back into that position, and you live that life, and you say, okay, what if I did that instead, and we had this conversation on the plane, and other things I would say to him, taking that consciousness of everything that you know right now that you've lived your life, but you could bring it to that moment, talk to him more, and live that life. Let's say you live 3 or 4 years, and then you can open your eyes for a second, and you're right back here. So you've just lived about 4 years, but if you wanted to, you could come right back here because time moves differently. Time moves in a way that
You mean just with your thoughts?
your consciousness, moving your consciousness, basically what she did in Everything Everywhere All at Once. And like she did that in times in this movie. She put her consciousness in other portions. This is what majority of that movie was about, was putting all the different potential outcomes of different universes and being able to live in those. And
But you're making it up. That's the That's the thing that I can't.
What do you mean?
Like when I close my eyes and I can think about.
Yeah.
What if I had never talked my way into first class? I never met him. I never go to AfterBuzz. I never meet you.
Right.
I never show. I never.
But you live that. But what I'm saying is,
But
you
I'm
actually
making up what would have happened.
Well, right, that's what I'm saying. Imagine actually living and watching that. Like I always
play.
bring up. To me, it's always like that. Like one of the moments is that Sarah Silverman moment that I've talked about a million times on the show. Right? Like,
You're not?
Yeah, it's. The fans are bored to death with it, but it's essentially the first time I did stand up comedy in L.A. I got up on stage because on like a dare on a PAX show at the Improv. And it was my birthday, and I got up, and they were like Rick Overton throwing like all these jokes at me, and I was knocking it out, and it was packed. And it was the last thing of the night. People were going nuts, and I was 22 maybe, and I get off, and I get hand on my shoulder, and someone goes, "You were phenomenal, so fucking funny." And I look, and it's Sarah Silverman, right?
Did you know she's like a hero of mine? I don't think I know this story.
Really? So
Yeah.
so now, knowing me today, I would say, because I had seen her at Boston Comedy Club in New York, I'd seen it and knew her from like Saturday Night Live and all these things. And what I would say today is like, thank you so much. That means a lot to me. Can I buy you a drink at the bar because I want to get involved more in stand-up comedy? I would love to pick your brain. I'm telling you, from the energy she was giving me that night,
She would have done that.
she would have absolutely done that because she was coming. She went out of her way to come find me to tell me like how good that was. And instead, I am a month fresh into LA, and I look at her and I go, "Thanks, you were great in Something About Mary," and I walked away. And she was in that movie for maybe 3 seconds. She looked at me like I had 3 penises on my face, and I was like,
It's the worst feeling ever.
"It's the worst," because I always say to myself. Because the thing is, and I'm not telling you that Sarah Silverman's going to make my career that day. I'm telling you that I'm going to get more information, and I'm making a contact of someone that can say, "Hey, why don't you try to do this?" And who knows and what happens. And what I'm saying as far as line jumping goes, to live that moment and go, okay, well, what happens if I actually know everything? What would have happened? And let's say I live 5 years there, and then I come back and I'm right back here, because time moves at a very, interesting pace. But anyway, we could talk about these things forever. We could talk about
brain scramble.
Brain scramble.
Brett, what do you think happened?
Wait. We unfortunately we don't have enough time.
No.
You want to hear? Go ahead, Brett. What do you think happens?
We're worm food.
You think it's
I don't want.
You think it's just over?
I don't want to think it, but I
you think it, you just think when you go to sleep. Well, look, I'll tell you both. Your option is probably the easiest option.
Yeah.
Honestly, because my option and the multiverse option and all that shit, you still got to go through all the bullshit. You still got to go through all the pain. You still got to go through
Exhausted.
human nature and all that kind of crap. Your option, you just go to sleep, and that's it.
No, you miss everything, man.
No.